Welcome to Gutter Talk, the show all about comics and graphic novels. In this episode, we've got a DC vs. Vampires one-shot, another great issue of Twig, and an interesting indie graphic novel recommendation for you, so stick around. I'm your host, Matt Mitchell. We're going to switch things up and start off with the graphic novels I read this month. I only read one graphic novel this month, and that was Cayrels Ring. Cayrels Ring is a distant galaxy that has been colonized by humanity, and our hero, Jamich, worked on a team with a supercomputer that predicted whether a world was safe for humans and other species. Now this supercomputer's algorithm is no longer trusted, it's been called into question, so they evacuate that planet, and Jamich is separated from his daughter and his team is stranded on this planet. Now many years later, a mission is sent back to that planet to shut down the computer for good. When things go wrong, they need Jamich's help to shut down the supercomputer, and he needs their help to get off world and reunite with his daughter. But we kind of get off to the wrong foot, in my opinion, with him. It makes it hard to root for him when, for seemingly no reason, he just attacks those people on the mission and escapes in their ship off-world. It would have made more sense to me if there was another page or two that just showed them like dropping some hints that they might betray Jamich and leave him stranded there again, so he betrays them first before they can do that, and there'd be more justification for his actions. But it's kind of forgiven over time as we see him struggle with what he did. One of the cool things I thought was that Shannon Lentz wrote this entire story, but then different chapters have different artistic teams, so that was a really unique way to put together this graphic novel. The other thing I really liked about this graphic novel was the world building. There's a lot of different planets and species, and we follow these disconnected stories that all then weave together that really make this universe seem vast. Like, it's a very large universe, a bunch of different diverse characters. We get these different looks into humanity as it is in this sci-fi future. People struggling with different issues and burdens, seeking revenge for different reasons, hiding away, different love stories. The ending, as they all build up and start connecting to each other, kind of was a bit of a letdown, just because it feels like there should be more story to tell, and maybe they do have that and it just hasn't happened yet. But I would like to see more stories in this universe. It was some good sci-fi and really great world building. I definitely recommend checking it out if you like space and sci-fi stories. This is a great indie graphic novel. Let's move on to the new issues of the month. First up, I read Gwen-Verse number 3, and I was really glad that we finally got some more background on Finale to try to understand why she's doing what she's doing. She's still not my favorite, but I'm starting to warm up to her in this story a little bit more. And I'm really enjoying how the different timelines are influencing things that happen in the other timelines. It's starting to be a little bit more interesting. Definitely check this one out if you're a fan of Spider-Gwen. Also from Marvel this month was Han Solo and Chewbacca number 3. We see Han escape from the bind he was in, and he's finally able to ditch Greedo now that he's no longer useful to their mission. While they're hunting this urn for Jabba, it's now in the hands of this Sava, who is basically an antiquities dealer, and so Han reports her to some stormtroopers, and a mystery character interferes and helps this Sava escape from the stormtroopers. And I'm not sure if that's just some small detail to get this character out of Han's way, or if there's something bigger there and this mystery character that we don't see is gonna come back and throw a wrench into Han's plans. If you're reading this series, I'd love to know what you thought about that part. Moving on to DC, we have DC vs. Vampires, Killers one-shot. This follows Harley Quinn and some other villains as she has now taken over the human underground in Gotham as vampires have taken over the world. It really felt like you needed to read the main series to enjoy this one-shot, so it wasn't really a one-shot in that sense. It was just kind of like a side issue in the series. And it also felt like this was very important to the main series. Like, the stuff that happened in this book is going to be very important to the series going forward. So why wasn't it just contained in the main series? I don't know about that. You know, you signed on to read 12 issues and now they've added 2 one-shots is a little bit deceptive. You think you're only going to have to buy 12 issues to get this entire story, and now they've added 2 more. Who knows how many more they're going to add, whether they're going to extend this series. It's all just a little bit deceptive. But that said, I still really enjoyed this series, and now I'm kind of excited for Harley Quinn's involvement in it. So definitely pick this one up if you are reading DC vs. Vampires. Next, I was finally able to catch up and read Dark Knights of Steel number 7. Previously in this series, Batman was missing and the Amazonians are sailing towards the Kingdom of El and we're on the brink of war. We finally get to meet the Teen Titans and Beast Boy turns into that awesome dragon you saw on the cover. And I'm really enjoying the way they've twisted all of the characters. They have different origins and different uses that are similar but different from the way they are in the normal DC universe. So this is really one of my favorite series that I'm reading right now, and I highly recommend catching up on it if you can. And last from DC, we have Jurassic League number 2, more amazing battles and epic dinosaur artwork. The Trinity has finally teamed up, and we get some hints as to what the villains are actually up to. They have these war plans for this dark embryo. We don't entirely know what that is for or what it does, but it can't be good. And this is just comics at their best. A crazy what if idea. What if the Justice League were dinosaurs? And I'm absolutely loving it. Last but not least, we have the second issue of Twig. We finally get a better understanding of what this position of placeling is. Basically, they go out on missions and place these gems into these strange holders for some unknown reason, but presumably it stops something bad. And we find out that this first mission of Twig's is the last mission. This is the final placing, and then he doesn't have to be a placeling anymore. But everything is going wrong. He's putting maximum effort forward, trying to, pick up the pieces as things go wrong and just push forward on this mission to make sure it succeeds. And it looks like he's gonna have to go to the most unexpected places to get that done. So I'm really excited to see where this series goes. That's all for this month. There were a lot of great issues released. Let me know what you're reading and what I should pick up, and I'll see you around comic shops in July.